to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Move on to the approval of the minutes from the October 18th meeting.
Mr. President, I move we approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes. All right. Accounts payable vouchers.
Mr. President, I would like to recommend the claims from October 20th, 2021 through November 1st, 2021 be approved without exception.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes. And payroll.
Mr. President, I would also like to recommend the payroll dated October 29th, 2021 be paid without exception.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes. All right. Approval of the 2022 holidays schedule. Do you want to read through them?
Sure.
All right.
This is tentatively the holiday schedules that we have presented for us. Martin Luther King Day, January 17th, President's Day, February 21st, Good Friday, April 15th, Memorial Day, May 30th, Juneteenth, June 20th, Independence Day, July 4th, Labor Day, September 5th, Columbus Day, October 10th, Veterans Day, November 11th, Thanksgiving Day, November 24th, Thanksgiving holiday, November 25th, Christmas Eve holiday is December 23rd, Christmas Day holiday, December 26th, and I do believe we have New Year's Day for January 1 of 2022. Am I correct, Shirley?
I think that's on a Saturday.
The New Year's holiday is going to be December 31st because of the way it fell on the calendar, so that's actually on our 2021 list.
Okay. By adding the Juneteenth holiday, we'll be taking away the floating one-day holiday. So by saying that, Mr. President, I move that we approve the 2022 holiday schedules.
And I will second that schedule.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the approval of that holiday schedule. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes. All right. Highway. First, we have an ordinance. I'll entertain a motion to hear.
Mr. President, I move that we hear ordinance number 2021-27-CM, amending sections 96.02 and 96.18 the Tippecanoe Code concerning highway department permits.
Second.
And are you covering this, or?
I'll go ahead. The main gist of these amendments are that back in, I think, 76 or 78, when those sections were initially adopted, the way it was drafted, they incorporated specific forms that people would have to submit to the highway department to get their permit. And so since that was part of an ordinance, it kind of tied the highway department's hands in terms of modifying those permit forms. And so the main modification here is just to say that the highway supervisor is in charge of developing forms that are acceptable to his office. The substance stays the same. And the other, I think, main change is that when a bond comes through, if they're in the proper form and less than $10,000, the highway department's being given the authority to accept those bonds without necessarily taking it through the commissioners' meeting. I think that's been the practice for the building commission. It doesn't really add a lot of value for you to take those through the meeting process. So those are the two changes. I think that's about it.
Anything else you can care to add? Okay, questions?
No, sir.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this ordinance? Seeing none, Bob?
Murtaugh,
Yes.
Byers,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-27 CM passes 3-0 on first reading.
All right, so we will hear that on second reading at our next meeting.
Since that's only first reading, I have two bonds. The first is a new construction maintenance bond for Tippecanoe Enterprises, three-year term in the amount of $5,000.
Mr. President, I would move for approval.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes.
The second is the continuation of the Cheeseman, Inc. Bond for an additional 3 years at $5,000.
Mr. President, I move that we approve this continuation certificate as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes.
And the last item is a donation of right-of-way by REC.
Yeah, these are just two more properties at 2060 and 2120 North River Road. I think part of the overall hope is to get as much of the fee simple right-of-way donated to the Highway Department along that stretch as possible. The practical reason for REC doing it is it allows them to split off the riverfront sections of those parcels from the pieces on the west side of the road and sell the west side pieces while retaining the riverfront parcels. And so it's just a donation that they're asking the Highway Department to accept.
Mr. President, I would move that we accept the donation.
Second?
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes. Thank you.
Mr. President, I move that we hear ordinance number 2021-33-CM, Sheriff Alarm Fund.
Second.
You want me to? You want me to do this one?
Yeah, I was told you were
Yep.
handling that.
Yep. I actually thought we did this in July, but we did not. This amends the code concerning registration of alarm business. It specifies that the fees for these alarm business services will go into the sheriff's false alarm fund. That's, I think, where it's been deposited, but there was never explicit language, and there wasn't explicit language to how it could be spent. So I think there's $24,000-ish
Roughly, yeah.
dollars in there that hadn't been touched since I don't know when, living memory sounds like. And so this specifies that first it has to fund any of the sheriff's responsibilities with respect to alarm business registration, monitoring, and responding to alarms. But after that's taken care of, it can be used for the operational and capital expenses of the sheriff's department.
Well, I think that's something, again, we did in July. It just never got signed, if I remember right. And
Well,
we just found that out the other day.
Yeah, I drafted it, and I thought I circulated it, but I don't think it ever went through a commissioners' meeting. I didn't see it on the minutes or on an agenda, so it's just one of those things that get lost in the shuffle.
Okay. Anything else to
No,
add? Okay.
just getting the loose ends tied up.
Questions?
No, sir.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this ordinance? Seeing none, Bob?
Byers,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Murtaugh.
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-33 CM passes 3-0 on first reading.
All right.
Thank you.
That'll be heard at second reading at our next meeting as well. Thank you. Mr. Hiddle, you're up. Good morning.
Plan Commission. We have one item before you, which is a resolution which would essentially give us permission, the Area Plan Commission permission to work with the unincorporated town of Stockwell and the surrounding area toward development of a new comprehensive plan. We've actually kind of started. We have a steering committee, and We've had a couple smaller meetings and some preliminary meetings, but we have our first big one a week from today, and we're doing field work starting this week. And I believe historically the department has come to you for a resolution like this prior to a comp planning effort, so here we are.
Thank you for doing this. I think there's a lot of excitement in the community about it, so.
Yes, excitement.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Go ahead. Mr. President, I would move for adoption of resolution number 2021-36-CM.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and then we have a resolution approving the expansion area for the Mccarty Southeast Industrial Expansion Economic Development Area. Doug?
Yeah, this one's before you again. As you might remember, you approved the action of the Area Plan Commission, which had approved the declaratory action. It's all pretty convoluted, but you essentially looking at the same thing you looked at a couple of months ago, and where it stands now is that the Redevelopment Commission has adopted an expansion area and amendment of the project for the Southeast Industrial Expansion Economic Development Area. Primarily, the project's being amended to add 12 parcels on the northeast intersection of 65 and 38, north of the Dayton town limits, east to, I believe, Dayton Road, and north to Haggerty Lane. And that will allow extension of Yost Drive from Haggerty down to the Dayton town limits. And it has to go through this extra step because there's an expansion. Normally, it would have been done with the confirmatory resolution of the Redevelopment Commission.
I keep mistakenly say that this is the final step, but this one really is the final step, correct?
I think so.
Okay.
I misinformed you the last time, so.
All right. And Mr. Kohler is here from Dayton. I understand. Did you have a question that you wanted to? Oh, Jen. I'm sorry. I didn't see you, Jen. Okay.
Thanks. Jen Menezes, 625 Harrison Circle in Dayton. I did have a question. I just wanted to clarify exactly where Yost was being built, because in the packet from the redevelopment meeting, it says Yost Drive is proposed to be constructed from Haggerty Lane to its current stub end at Hine Drive in the town of Dayton. But it goes on to say, as relevant to the expansion area, the construction will proceed from Haggerty Lane to the Dayton town limits. And both of those things can't be true, because Dayton town limits stop here and Hine Drive is down here.
And so it's the town limits. I mean, number one, they don't have the authority to do anything in the town limits. You're right. So the original, I think the original plan when this was conceived, I mean, a long time ago, was to go further south. But as it's going through today, it's just to the town limits because of, I mean, number one, you mentioned that second sentence, which made that clarification. And then if you look at Exhibit C, the Joint Economic Development Plan, at 1A, the extension and reconstruction, and it specifies Yost Drive from Haggerty Lane to the Dayton town limits. So, I mean, that plan would have to be amended again to get it further south, and also the county doesn't have authority to do the construction inside the Dayton town limits.
And is there any plan in the future to try to take that land from us, to continue that road?
To do what now?
To continue the road down to Hine Drive?
That's in the town of Dayton. We could not, we couldn't build a road in the town of Dayton.
And there's no plan for the future to try to force that through?
We can't build that. I mean, that would have to be Dayton that would do that.
Okay. I did just want to say something, though. So moving on, the minutes from the June meeting of the Tippecanoe County Redevelopment Commission cited you, Mr. Murtaugh, claiming Dayton didn't want to participate in the joint TIF district, and that statement, I just want to say, was incorrect. Dayton put what we called a temporary hold on Yost Drive last fall. That was only after Dayton's input and our requests on the CARS rezone petition were ignored, and the 1996 land use plan was deemed irrelevant. But it was actually this body, the county commissioners, who withdrew from the joint TIF, and it was not Dayton that withdrew. Documents from the October 26th redevelopment meeting justify developing Yost Drive because it's been in the plan since the 90s. Even though the land use plan from the 90s was deemed outdated and irrelevant when it came to the Carr family rezone petition. And I just find it kind of hypocritical that those 90s plans are fine when it suits your purpose, but not when it doesn't. In a transportation improvement plan document dated December 2018 and then updated January of 2019, the total cost of Yost Drive was projected to be just over $4 million. Yet the documents obtained at the meeting of the Redevelopment Commission on October 26th, which weren't available ahead of time, but I got them at the meeting, indicates that the cost of Yost Drive is expected to exceed $10 million. And that's for a truncated version of Yost Drive that ends at Dayton town limits. I feel that detail alone should be enough to put the brakes on this project. Finally, the redevelopment document claims that development of Yost Drive will permit more economically productive uses of the real estate in the expansion area. I believe the development of even this truncated Yost Drive will only be more economically productive for the landowners and the developers who will get a road built by taxpayer dollars that would otherwise go to cities, towns, townships, libraries, and schools. I believe those landowners and developers are the driving force behind this action, which is set to deprive my town of its long recognized jurisdiction over this area. I think it's terrible that the Tippecanoe County Commissioners have not supported the town of Dayton in its bid to control the growth and development that borders the town limits. While it's true that Dayton has deviated from the land use plan over the years, I'm sure we weren't the only municipality in the county to deviate from its plan. When a couple of rezones to I-3 were granted to Dayton, those decisions belonged to Dayton. Our input into the Carr rezone was deemed irrelevant, and we were denied that decision even though the land had been in our jurisdiction for decades. Thank you.
Could you sign in?
I did.
Oh, did you? Okay, okay.
And I do just have one question. When you say it's in your jurisdiction, in what way? What do you mean?
In the land use plan, that's always been, part of Dayton's area.
Okay, because it's
Not
not
town
in,
limits,
yeah,
but-
it's not in it's in the county. It's not in the town of Dayton.
Right.
Okay, I just want to clarify that. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Anyone else speak?
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we approve resolution number 2021-37-CM, approving expansion area for the Mccarty Southeast Industrial Expansion Economic Development Area.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes. Okay. And then we have the amendment to the joint economic development agreement with the city of Lafayette.
Mr. President, I'll move that we approve this amendment of the joint economic development agreement with the city of Lafayette.
Second.
Yeah, this is related, so pretty much every time we amend the plan, there's an amendment to the joint economic development agreement, so we've incorporated the changes to our plans in this agreement, and the city of Lafayette will be agreeing that these are permissible parts of the project. The reason there is the joint agreement is because this has been since 2001 I don't want to say a joint TIF because that has a different meaning, but we've had a mutual agreement where we basically split the funds from their Mccarty and our Southeast Industrial 50-50. And so we both sign off on the other's plans. The other addition to this is it will extend that agreement by 10 years to 2031 to basically run out the time of that TIF district.
Okay. Questions in regard to that? Okay. So we have a motion and a second on the table. No further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes. All right, the Anthem contract. Shirley, you're up.
Okay, you should have in your packet a copy of the Anthem Renewal Agreement. There are several places for signatures.
I noticed that.
Basically, what it's doing, we didn't really make any changes at all to the plan itself, but Anthem did put some enhancements in there. So there are a couple of things that are a little bit different. So we have to sign off on each of those. The overall agreement has already been signed, but we do the renewal each year. And there was a slight increase in the administrative services agreement and in the reinsurance agreement, but not enough to have us to make a change in our premiums for this year with our balance.
So this is the final step to get the open enrollment meeting scheduled
Yes.
and so on and so forth.
Yes. And the tentative dates, the dates that I've got started are next Monday, Tuesday, the 8th and 9th, and then the following Monday, Tuesday, the 15th and 16th. 2 days next week will be here in this room. The 2 days the following week will be at the fairgrounds.
Perfect.
But something we can say to the employees that premiums aren't going up. Premiums are not going up.
Premiums are not going up, correct.
Which will be freezing them for 6 years?
Since 2016, we have not had an increase.
That's amazing.
Mr. President, I would move that we approve the contract with Anthem for the 2022 plan year.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Kent, third time's a charm. Let's do this Frontier agreement.
Talking about Randy?
Yep. So the Frontier agreement we've got in front of you is actually an amendment to the agreement we signed earlier, or you signed earlier this year. I ran it by Doug, and it's fairly straightforward. On the face, it's going to save us about $6,000 a year in phone bills. I don't expect that much. We've got a few tweaks to make, but this is the part where we go from the analog phone lines to IP-based phone lines, from PRI to SIP. And so it's going to open up a whole lot of avenues on communications that we can add, communication functions we can add.
Okay, and I'm assuming you have reviewed this, yes?
It's a new schedule to an existing agreement, so the underlying agreement was fine.
Okay.
Mr. President, I move that we approve this agreement with Frontier Phone as presented.
Second.
And then you do not have Frontier signature yet, is that correct? On this? Apparently not. Unless you have another one that's signed. Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes. All right, Rebecca. We haven't seen you in a while. That was quick. You're on it this morning.
I'm on it. Be careful. These are two contracts for our JDI grant. One is for our Back on Track sessions that we provide now at Jefferson High School for 8th, 9th, and 10th graders, and one is for our teen court.
Mr. President, I would move that we approve contracts for Dante Wilburn and Devon Moore Dante Wilburn for Back on Track and Devon Moore for Teen Court.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Looks like we've got a couple grants.
Morning.
Morning.
We'd like to ask permission to apply for a grant, the Circuit Court with Indiana Supreme Court grant for $75,000 for the administration of the Adult Guardianship Office, volunteer advocates for seniors and incapacitated adults, which is VESHA, to supplement Wabash Center Guardianship Services, and the MOU will be with Judge Person in Circuit Court.
Mr. President, I move that we grant permission to apply for Circuit Court as stated.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes.
And CASA would like to apply for the 2022 CASA for Kids Fund, grant to support a regular part-time staff advocate outreach coordinator position in the amount of $52,000. These will be non-reverting funds that will be continued to support this position along with the benefits through the next year.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes.
And I'd like to ask permission to accept the 2021 EMPG salary award letter from Indiana Department of Homeland Security for the amount of $69,827 to cover a small portion of the salary for EMA Director, Deputy Director, and Administrative Assistant. The match from the county would be the benefits and the remaining amount of the salary.
And did that amount change?
Yes, it was set up in a category of, with our population for 55,000, but we sent in letters of complaint to them, and they readjusted it with the counties that didn't apply for everything. So they reallocated the funds to the counties that had larger amounts on their salaries.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. I would move that we grant permission to accept the grant.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes. All right, thank you. We have 3 reports on file, one from Weights and Measures, one from Crystal Creek Boarding Kennel, and one from the Building Commission. Those will be on file in the Commissioner's office. Any unfinished or new business? Public comment? Good morning.
Sorry I didn't fill out the form before I came in here this morning. Tim Clark, 6875 West Arrowhead Drive. Just wanted to come in front of you guys today to say I was asked to be the chairman again for the ACT for Americans with Disabilities, the Active Accessibility Coalition of Tippecanoe County. And I'm coming here today that representing you as Tim Clark and nobody else, not Intact Management Group or any other company, that I am here as an individual to do anything and everything I can for this county, to do everything we have to do for ADA.
Thank you. Do we need to approve the appointment?
So, I want to be on board. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sign in on the sheet there.
Sign in here.
Is there a sheet there?
There is a sheet
Yeah,
here,
you
yes.
can put your name on there. Oh, there isn't? She's got one there if you want.
All right, anyone else?
Move to adjourn.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you.